Hello and welcome to the Mind Over Mike podcast. Thanks for joining me today. I'm very excited for this guest. I first encountered this guy a number of years ago while on the road doing some stand-up comedy. Didn't see him for a long time, and then we reconnected, did a lot of shows together right around the time of this recording, and I consider him a good buddy of mine now. I was thrilled to sit down and talk about the highs and lows of comedy with this guy. We kick off the episode talking about Gina Carano versus Ronda Rousey. We talk about the Roast of Kevin Hart and the impact that has had on stand-up comedy, as well as some of Eric's earlier influences in comedy, like HBO specials and Comedy Central half hours. All sorts of fun. I really enjoyed talking with him. And the highlight of the episode for me is when we go into some of the worst and best stories he's had from doing crazy gigs in stand-up. Those include a guy's living room on his birthday, a guy's party basement, and some fairgrounds where he bombed and then ate mashed potatoes alone. I thought he was super honest about the highs and lows of this thing that we both love, and he's a great guy. He's also got his very first 10-minute mini special that's being recorded in July, so please follow him on all platforms. That'll be linked in the description. Make sure to like and support that video when it releases, and enjoy today's episode with the one and only Mr. Eric Hook.
I want to watch the. Are you familiar with the fights tonight? It's like Gina Carano and Ronda Rousey.
I am, yes.
I love Nate Diaz. I'm like a huge Nate Diaz fan.
Love him.
I watch all of his fights. So.
He's fighting. Who is he fighting tonight?
He's fighting that bare knuckle guy. I can't think of his name.
Mike Perry, maybe.
Mike Perry.
Is that who it is?
I think that's right. And I never know what's going to be his last fight, so I'm like, I'm always like, I gotta watch it, see if he's got anything left in the tank,
Yeah, it's one of those. It's getting weird, the fight, because I would say I'm like a casual fight guy. Like UFC, I've followed semi close since the pandemic. But outside of that, not a ton. The fact that I saw a video of the weigh-ins for Gina and Ronda, and it was like, this is the first time that Gina's had to cut since, I think it said 2009.
Yeah, she's been out forever.
16 years? It's like, what are we doing, man? It is very weird. That being said, I will be watching it. I would like to see it as well.
Well, it's just, these sorts of, it's like these Jake Paul fights. It's like, just because it's kind of sort of a joke or it's a little bit of a gimmick, you still kind of want to see what happens. And Rousey, that's interesting. She kind of, she wasn't she hadn't completely fallen off when she quit. She just kind of had a bad fight, so. Yeah,
she went and did those awful Expendable movies instead.
Join the WWE, which is the retirement for the UFC.
Yeah, it is interesting. I think the one thing that's confused me about those two is they're billing it as the biggest martial arts fight, which I understand they have to do that. Or what. Is there actually, I've had a hard time determining, is there actually a want for this?
I don't think so.
Has anybody been like, we got to get those two in there? It's fun.
I think it was, if I remember right, it was Cyborg and Gina Carano at one point were kind of the two big women's fighters, and that was kind of the fight everybody wanted to see.
Sure.
I don't remember if they ever fought, but if when Rousey was popular, if Carano came back, maybe that would have been good, but now it's now it's kind
old.
of weird.
Also, they I don't know. I think Gina's been in The Mandalorian most recently, so it's there's probably a whole wave of people I'm just not even hip to that are watching it because they like her in The Mandalorian. Maybe that's a thing. I don't know.
They may not even have known that she was a fighter, honestly, because she's been doing movies for so long. She had Haywire and some random movies and stuff, I think. So
I do kind of wonder too. I know Netflix is notorious for not publishing numbers, so it's there's really no way. It's kind of brilliant marketing to be it's the biggest fight ever, and then afterwards they're gonna be it sure was.
Yeah.
We can't tell you, but
it's very much it's kind of how a gambler works. They tell you all their wins, but they don't tell you their losses. That's very much what Netflix is doing. Which is great for them, I guess.
Yeah, I'm sure it's gonna draw. And it's also I think that female fighters, or just the female side of combat sports now, is so much more appreciated than it was in 2009. when Gina's like the only one or whatever in Cyborg, like maybe that will help it too. Maybe?
I think I love watching the women's fights. They have like no pain tolerance.
Oh my God.
So they can just take pain tolerance. Did I say that right? They can just take damage.
So
it's
brutal.
crazy, dude. Their fights are wild. So
yeah, it's been interesting to watch that evolve too, because I think I followed the UFC a little bit growing up. Like I definitely always played the video games, and I had older cousins that were into it. But then like pandemic, it was like the only thing on. Mm-hmm. So that's because I'm not a sports guy at all. But it was like, well, I guess I'll just get into this. And then I guess some of my like old favorite fighters were kind of retiring around that time, and we went to New Orleans a couple of years ago and watched Dustin's last fight, Dustin Poirier, and that was like a dream come true.
That's cool.
Me. So I'm like, I've been to a live event, but I don't. You could probably ask me 3 questions and I'd be in over my head.
Well, I like people like you. That's like I like hockey, but I don't know anything about it. Yeah. Like I know the basic rules, but I'm not going to sit here and act like I do. But
sure.
To your point. Yeah, I think the UFC is great for that. In boxing, it's like anybody can turn it on and know what's going on because you don't really have to know. Like it's people punching each other. Like you don't need to know the rules really.
As soon as it goes to the ground, I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, well, still, it's just
it looks good.
They're either going to choke them out or they're going to beat the crap out of them. But yeah. I think UFC has definitely struggled since. I feel like it was like obviously McGregor was big.
Oh yeah.
When they have those kind of very colorful people, it's way more popular, and they haven't had them as much. A lot of the old guys are, the Liddells, the John Jones, the ones that people know are retiring. So
it's getting sad, and they're like they can't talk anymore. Like the CTE.
Yeah, dude, it's not. Fighters are. That's not a aging well sport for sure.
No, I do. I think that like they're also they try to make those colorful characters. Like every guy that comes along, they're like he's the new Conor or whatever, and it never is. But now they're also kind of like they're doing the UFC at the White House. They're like it's becoming a
conservative thing,
right?
Which it makes sense. I mean, I don't think you should align with a party probably, but it's like, of course, those dudes are all kind of meatheads,
Yeah. Also, like, I know that it was a big thing right during like the last election, where that when Trump went to the UFC, it was like bananas. They all cheered and went crazy. And then recently he was at one, and I saw the video. It was not great.
Really?
Yeah. So it's like even what you would assume is like his own community or whatever. Like the fans are still human. And a lot of them probably don't like whatever's going on. So it's like it's not just like a blanket support, I think. But
that's
doing it at the White House is also, I think Dana probably would have done that if Biden was in office. I think he just wanted to do it.
Maybe. I mean, it is a neat idea, I guess, wild. But I don't know. Right now, it's so polarizing. Like, I think the Trump people were ride or die for him, but with like gas prices and cost of living, it's like that's what people care about the most.
Oh yeah,
and he just doesn't seem to care about that right now. So
he literally said the other day, like they were like, "How much do you think about Americans?"
I
saw he goes, that. Not even a little.
Yeah, I was like, you can't say it. Even Trump,
come
it's
on.
Like, yeah,
have a better poker face at least. Not
that
even
was a
little.
really bad quote. People were, and I looked it up. I was like, is this out of context?
No,
and I was like, no, he straight up just said he doesn't care.
No
it's like, all right, man, ride out your term, I guess.
It's great. What has been really interesting, I was mentioning to you before the show, I work with like all 60-year-old white ladies at a credit union. And, we work in like a cubicle environment. So most days it's like being at summer camp, and you'll just hear like, psst, hey, did you see what he's doing in Iran or whatever? But now it's cool to watch them like tiptoe between like being critical of gas prices, but not being critical of Trump. That's been cool to watch. It's a cool balancing act for them to be like, I don't know what's causing this, but it's getting out of hand.
Oh, I think it's fun to see the types of people that are not willing to change, which is a bad trait in people. The ones that have been ride or die for Trump, they don't ever want to be wrong about it.
Sure.
When it's not going well and they're still kind of riding for him, it's just like, I don't know, man. You got to be honest. Like, this isn't great,
They're like, I'm 10 years in at this point.
Yeah, right. You can't be wrong.
Get through the next 3 and then sail off into the sunset. Yeah, do you think, how much of an influence do you find that all the political shit, like even this conversation, which I think you and I seem to be somewhat aligned on. And I think, honestly, most people are. Most people call bullshit where they see it. But how much do you think that seeps into stand-up? Because I live here, so it's like I would have to probably come at it with a very, like what they would consider foreign opinion, as far as like I live in rural East Tennessee. Like for the most part, I know what I can get away with. But with your traveling and stuff, do you think that now is like a tricky time to do stand-up at all or anything?
I think from my experience, people just don't want to hear it.
They're so tired of it.
They're just tired of it. I mean, I think if they're coming out to a comedy show, they want to break from it because it's just so crazy. Everything's just so crazy now. Or at least like it feels like it because everybody's online and they're seeing stuff constantly. So like I have a joke about January 6th. It's not even a offensive joke or anything, but just the fact that I'm mentioning it, sometimes rooms get really tight.
Sure.
And so I've kind of taken it out of my set just because it makes it weird. But like that's what it is. I mean, it's not a bad joke, but people they're just like, I don't want to hear about January 6th. I want to just hear about, whatever farts and other stuff that we talk about.
My act. That's all me.
Dude. Oh, dude, I got a lot of fart jokes.
Fart in January 6th. That's me, man. I do that. I've had this conversation a billion times on the show with other comics and even non-comics, which I almost think is more interesting, honestly.
What do you think?
Well, I think that there's guys who do it so well. I don't need to do it. It's just not who I am. I have a friend who is a local comic who's great, and he's closed a bunch of our shows. He's hosted a bunch of our shows. Like, I can put him anywhere. He does fantastic, and he can go there, and it goes very well for him, and they love him in spite of it. Nobody gives a fuck what I think ultimately, and I'm like, as long as there's like the Jon Stewarts in the world or the Josh Johnsons or whatever, it's like what or Tim Dillon. Like, I don't need to sit on this show and rant about my. I don't care. I don't care.
I think but I agree with you. I mean, if you can make it work, then go nuts. Yeah. But it is hard, and I love it when I can. I have done them in the past. I used to have a Biden thing that I would do, and I was so proud of it because it's so hard to write a joke like that. Yeah. But man, it is so hard. Like you take the third room I do it in, it gets weird, and I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna stop doing this. And
it's also so timely. That's another reason I think I stray away a lot. Like I used to have a Biden joke that reminded me. I had one a long time ago about. Do you remember the Chinese balloon thing? Chinese weather balloon was like a big deal for a while with Biden.
I do remember that. Yeah.
Okay, so I had a very timely joke about the Chinese weather balloon thing, and it crushed for a month. And then all of a sudden it was like spoiled milk, where it's like, what? I don't even the 24-hour news cycle. They're like, I don't even remember that shit.
And you feel weird even saying it 100%. At a certain point. I think those bits I'm learning, which I don't do this, but I should, are great for posting online because like. Exactly. You can get clicks on that because it's a thing, and you're going to burn it eventually, so you might as well just throw it up.
Yeah, I know a lot of guys do that too, like the Q&As after shows. Like
I know Mark Norman does that. I was going to say,
Norman is the one. And then all that is just clips. That just becomes clips, and it's brilliant.
Smart, and he's not really burning his stuff, which is, and he can develop material that way, I do admire that. I think maybe Sam Rell does it too, or some other people, and people give him crap about it, but I mean, that's the way it is now. If you can make it funny, you might as well do it.
I also think it's like sharpening the blade a little bit. Like it's basically a riff show, but it's just you. Like you're not pulling thoughts out of a bucket or whatever.
And it's very comfortable because it's your audience too, so you can kind of,
And you just crush for an hour. So you give them what they want, and then you're like, now let's play a little bit.
Yeah, and they get to be rowdy and talk and stuff, and then you can get off stage when, everybody wants to, most people want to do that.
I have a friend, another form guest of the show. He used to be a local comic, and we actually did another pod together. And he went and saw Matt Rife, like right at the height of all that Matt Rife, fat. Which I guess, I mean, he's still doing fine. I'm sure he's still doing.
Yeah, I think he's still doing arenas and stuff,
or whatever. But at the time, it was like everybody knew the name, and it was in the news and stuff. And he went to see him, and he said that he was like, I said, how was it? And he was like, he did material for like 40. And it was pretty bad. And he's like, but then he did crowd work for like another 40. And he was like, it was like destroying them like I've ever seen. So it's like that, that's what they're waiting on. That's why the material's bombing, because everybody just wants to talk. With him especially, because he's the guy, right, that you're supposed to like yell at. Or
yeah, and I mean, people want to like crap on him, which is fine. I don't think he's like awesome, but like he's not bad. Like there is a reason why he's popular. Most of it is because he's handsome, but he is pretty good at crowd work. So it's you got to give it up for people. People are just like haters. Like I've seen everybody hates Tony Hinchcliffe. I saw him years ago. And like he's really good at crowd work. He's really legitimately good at it. The other stuff, that's fine. You want to criticize whatever, but you got to give it up if somebody's good at something.
Hey, sorry for the interruption. Just want to tell you about a couple quick comedy shows I have in the near future. On June the 13th, I'm going to be down in Charleston, South Carolina, doing my first Don't Tell Charleston show. Very excited to get down there and spend a little time at the beach. On the 18th of June, I'm going to be back in Knoxville doing a Yellow Door Media show. My good friend, Mr. Justin Chavez. I'll be opening up for the one and only Keith Marcel. Great lineup on the 18th. On the 19th, the following night, I'm up in Lexington, Kentucky doing Don't Tell Lexington once again. Always love getting back there. And the following night, on the 20th of June, I'm going to be doing the Lyric Theater. I'm doing a guest spot for Mr. Steve Hofstetter. It'll be my first time working with him, and I'm very, very excited to be doing that big venue in Lexington. On June 27th, I'm going to be back in Raleigh, North Carolina, doing a good time comedy show for Mr. Joel Fooster. Very excited to get back to Raleigh. And the following night, I am at Good Nights Comedy Club, also in Raleigh, competing in the North Carolina's Funniest Competition. So come out and vote for me if you're listening anywhere near Raleigh, North Carolina. And on the 28th of July, I'm announcing it here first on this episode, I'm going to be doing the Barter Theater in Abingdon, Virginia, along with some other local favorite comedians for part of the Virginia Highlands Festival. We are so excited to be doing that iconic theater here in Abingdon, Virginia. That's on the 28th of July. Please grab your tickets early, come and support live comedy. Now back to the episode.
It's almost like the UFC thing too, where it's like as soon as he starts like opening at Trump rallies, then people are gonna pile on and like make judgments. And it's like, I mean, I don't know. Another conversation that comes up on the show a lot is like comedy greats that have since had some whatever taboo or some, like Louis is one that comes up a lot because he's a big one for me. Or even you and I were talking about Cosby a little bit downstairs. Like, not that those two have anything in common because I stand by that, they don't. But I do think that like anytime you talk about a figure like that, there's going to be people that attack them for all of that. And I'm usually the one in the room that's like, yeah, but can we just agree that he's still the greatest living comic? Like, I'm not saying everything you're saying is incorrect, but objectively, he might be the best.
Multiple things are allowed to be true. Yeah. Obviously, like
Thriller's still a good album, dude. I don't care. Thriller.
The Michael Jackson thing is weird though because he never really paid for it. I guess.
Sure.
Or some people think he didn't do it. I don't know. Mm-hmm. He's pretty weird. I mean, I don't.
Right. Objectively,
I'm not going to throw an opinion out about it, but like,
it is weird.
I don't know. Yeah. If see something, say something. I mean, that guy's doing stuff. But
yeah,
Louis. I mean, he did bad stuff.
Yeah,
I agree.
He agrees.
Yeah, he agrees. He apologized. Yeah. I mean, you got to give him credit. So a lot of people don't even do that. Yeah. But yeah, he's still a good stand-up. I mean,
he's phenomenal.
I mean, I don't know. Two things can be. Cosby's a little different.
That's a little different. yeah.
He's a little.
He's not really touring a lot.
Yeah. It's like if Hitler did stand-up. It's like, I don't know. We can forgive that.
I have seen there's this trend online right now of like Hitler's speeches translated to English. Have you seen this?
No.
And it's always like a Republican account that's like, this is why they never played it for us in English. And it's him saying like wildly conservative things that are like very fitting.
That you would agree with.
Right. And so then they're like, this is why they left it in German. It's like, or it's just that he spoke German. Like the recordings are in German because he was German. Maybe
I think very much people just like, I see videos all the time of like things that Trump is doing or saying, and then they do a cut of like Obama or Bill Clinton or somebody, and it's just like politics. They just go with whatever their base wants at that time. So all these people just like they're just there to agree with you. You know what I mean? So
and it's all the same.
It's all
shit.
It's
not.
Shit.
Well, I don't know. He does seem to be kind of doing his own thing at times. Trump a little bit.
Trump seems like he's getting senile a little bit. Like whatever he was, he's now lost a few screws from.
I do think I have some strong Trump supporters in my family. I have an aunt who had an inflatable train in her front yard for a while with a sign that said Trump train on it. Like I have it's pretty wild out here.
Right.
Yeah, it's a lot. And I don't know, she's kind of still ride or die. But there's other examples that I can think of that are pretty extreme supporters of his that even that are like, wait a second, like all the things that we thought we put you in there for, you're like doing the opposite. I think most people are aware of that.
Yeah.
When they've been hoodwinked,
Well, I think very much so. It's like, I don't have a strong opinion about any of it. But when he won, I was like, oh, Jesus Christ. We got to do another 4 years of this.
Here we go again.
And it's him and it's all the people that hate him. People are keying Teslas and like bitching online. It's just like, God damn
keying
it.
Swastikas into Teslas.
Yeah. But then the other, right. And then you have old Dementia McGee over there. And then that wasn't good either. But at least people were just like,
It's all bad.
I don't know. People are just business as usual when that's going on. So I guess that's better. I don't know.
It's all bad. And also, like, who wants to do that job anyway? You know, like, there's a reason that nobody under 60 works in government. Like, we don't care. It's all, you know, it's crazy. Yeah. I do think that the world of stand-up, though, is an interesting look at least for me, because it's like, I do know those guys who have very either hot takes or just, I would say, almost like prolific takes on it at times, and they can go there. And then maybe more than that, I know these guys who try to, it's just natural. Like, it's what's in the news. It's what's in the culture. You try to do it, and you're just sitting in the back of the room like, you don't need to be doing this.
Oh, yeah.
This, whatever, RFK impersonation. You don't need to be doing this right now. Like, it's just, after your anal sex bit, like, it just doesn't make sense.
That's one of my favorite things in stand-up is, like, I enjoy going to open mics sometimes more than, like, a polished comedian, because you get to see just the wildest transitions. Like, a person's not doing well, and they'll be like, so can I cuss and stuff on it? Like, so I fucked my grandma. Yeah. Anyway, so I just got a job at Subway, you know, like, and they get no laughs, and then they do a weird transition.
Which kind of makes me laugh.
That makes I crack up. Those are my
hard
favorites.
Laughs.
Yeah.
So
say the worst joke you ever heard, and then they do, like...
Mics are interesting. Which around here, it's getting kind of rough, too. Like, my closest mic right now is, like, 90-minute drive. So it's kind of hard to, like, you know, exist in this scene. It's pretty much just me and my buddy Travis that travel a lot right now out of here. And then we have Blue Ridge as our local club, but they're maybe closed. I don't know.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think we'll maybe talk more off mic, because I'm also not putting that out. I think they've announced it, but then took it back. I don't know. I don't know the situation. Yeah. But I do think that, like, there's not a ton of us that are, like, very active around outside of that one room. So when I get to travel, I like to see, like, what are you guys talking about over here? You know, like, I think I've been in Raleigh a lot the last couple months, and just, it's a totally different bag of comics. A lot of them I've never met, and getting to, like, perform with them for the first time and see, like, what does well in this city is interesting. Yeah. And a lot of it's the same shit.
A lot of it's the same stuff. Yeah. Kind of, I've been to a lot of different scenes. I travel for work and a little bit for comedy, but you know, so you go to, like, I mean, there's bad comedy everywhere. I did mics in LA. I got to do a mic at the Comedy Store. Buddy got me on, and there's a lot of shitty comics in LA. Tons of shitty comics. There's a lot of great comics. Yeah. But you go to, like, Phoenix, it's real raunchy. It's, like, very Hispanic based, so they're very raunchy, and you know, like, each scene has its own sort of fingerprint, I guess, based on, like, the culture that's there, I guess. But for the most part, funny is funny. That's most places, I feel like.
I think the only issue I've ran into, and I've traveled mostly in the Southeast and a little bit, like, all East Coast for sure, for stand-up. So I think that, like, I have a reference in my act to, like, the Andy Griffith show, which obviously down here does. Oh, really? Yeah, so down here does great. But I've done it in, like, a metropolitan DC, very mixed audience show, and it did fine, which kind of shocked me, which I know that's still pretty, you know.
That show is pretty popular. Some things just kind of transcend areas, and that one might, while it's going to be, like, richer down here, might transcend. But I have a joke about Amish people, and every time I go to a city, I ask somebody, I'm like, do you guys have Amish people around here? Before I do it, because some people just don't know anything about them. Yeah. But I did it last night. I did Don't Tell Chattanooga, and I asked the people, and they're like, yeah, we got them down here, and it worked great. But each city, I'm like, some people just don't know very much about
Interesting. Them, you know? Yeah. How was Chat? How was that?
It was great.
Was it at the shoe store?
It was at a barber shop.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Have you done the barber
I haven't
shop
done that
before?
one. So I've done Don't Tell Chat like 4 or 5 times at this point. Every time it's been the same room. Like, to the point where the producer will be like, I swear to God, we do other rooms. Like, it's just something about when I do it. But they have a shoe store down there that I've not done that I've heard is, like, an awesome room.
Oh, really?
Cool. Yeah.
The barber shop, I think the show progressed well. They, you know, everybody was getting laughs, and it just kind of tapered up as I think it's supposed to. Sure. And I got to go before Holly Ballantine.
Oh, yeah, she's headlining tonight.
Yeah.
Awesome.
She closed. I felt like I did a good set, and then she crushed at the end. She got a bunch of applause breaks and stuff. So it was fun. I love Don't Tells. Me something too. About getting put in a weird room just opens me up. I think I just do well in those.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm contractually obligated to say it's great company. I love them very much. But I do think they don't listen to the show. But I do. I like them too. I like when I travel for comedy, I'm usually basing that schedule around Don't Tells, because it's like they're usually a good enough crowd. And one thing I've said probably on the show before is, like, if they generally. If they take the time to like scan the QR code, wait on the email, find it on the map, show up, park, get it. Like they want to be there. So I think it's not, there's never like a walk up, you know, like rarely.
Yeah.
Maybe they walk by and see the neon and ask for 2 tickets or whatever. But for the most part, it's not like a club behind like a popular restaurant where people stumble in and ruin the show. Like usually they're good crowds.
It is, yeah. It's kind of like a hybrid between like a club show and a bar show. Because people, you're right, it is all ticket based pretty much. But I don't know, man. I did it. I'm trying to think of like the other weird ones. I did like Don't Tell Sacramento. That was great. Like there's just something about I don't know.
They're also everywhere.
They're everywhere, and it's nice for like somebody like me who, you know, I don't have enough credits where I can, or like a following where I can get into any club I want.
Sure.
So like it's usually run by comics.
Yeah.
So you can kind of get into them.
Usually, there's a few
decent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some people just don't. Respond.
There's a few. There's one. There's Don't Tell Myrtle Beach. I don't know if you've done it. It's actually very fun. I had a really good time at the show. But the guy who runs it is not a comic at all. So he's just like, I just love comic. I like to see. You know, it's like it makes
Those
it totally
people are
different.
Great, man.
Yeah,
I
we
love
need
somebody who does it for the love of the game, but they're not actually a comic. Those are the best people for comedy because
he's the nicest.
Comics make it weird, you know. Some of them do.
Yeah, they also like it becomes a well, I think maybe even more than like I expected it to be. It just becomes a bargaining chip, you know.
It's
just like a connection builder too. Like the amount of comics that I've met just from doing my show is probably 10 to 1 compared to like traveling.
Well, I met you at Don't Tell Lexington.
That's right. John Bess, who is awesome. And he runs a great show.
I love John
Lexington's
Bess.
always fun.
Dude, the first time I met him, he was very new, and he came up to me at a show, and he like knew me, and he was talking. He was like, "Hi there, man," you know.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Who the fuck is this guy?"
Yeah.
And
it's John Bass.
Yeah. Now he's like one of my favorite people.
He's the sweetest. Yeah,
he's the best.
Man. He helped me out, dude. Like maybe 2 months ago, I had just bad luck. We had sold out a show. We had like 75 tickets sold, and my whole lineup canceled on me like the day before. So that morning at like 11 a.m. I called him and was like, listen, it's like, this is never going to happen again. I swear to God, I know this is last minute. And I already knew from like his Instagram that he had another show, but I was like, I feel like I can get him to cancel that, like whatever the show was. Because I think it was one of his shows where I was like, I know he can have somebody run it. So I was like, you'd be doing me a favor. I was like, please God, come down here. I know you have 20 minutes. Just bring somebody, close it out. And we rebuilt the lineup from like 11 a.m. that morning.
Wow.
And he did great. He crushed. Yeah. He did like 30.
He's very likable.
Yeah, people love him, man. And he brought Luke Willoughby. I don't know if you know Luke.
I love Luke Willoughby, yeah.
Luke,
we started around the same time. Luke's great.
Oh my God. I met him maybe even when I met you. I met him a couple times around Lexington and stuff, but I don't think I've ever really seen his act. And then John was like, I'm going to bring Luke to help with the driving. I was like, that's fine. And I put him up like kind of middle of the lineup, and he murdered. He got a black girl's phone number.
Really?
Yeah. They stayed here after, and we were sitting back here, and me and John are like having this like 2-hour conversation, and the whole time Luke's down there in my living room just on his phone, and John was like, I'm not driving you over there. Like, she's gonna have to come get you, man.
I'm very proud of him.
It was crazy. He was like, this is the best night of my life.
That's nice.
It is cool to meet like cool people in stand up too. You know, I think it's probably 10 to 1, honestly. But like John is a great one, and then just from Don't Tell seems to attract them too, and maybe that's just
most of them are really nice, yeah.
Because it's like I think maybe because most of the producers are comics, I'm only gonna book you if I want to be around you.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't need your whatever TikTok follow. That's gonna do nothing for me because I can't even put your face on the flyer.
Well, that's something I've learned just with comics in general. Is I've gotten to open for a decent amount of like headliners, and usually the person that they bring on the road isn't the best comic that they know. It's usually somebody that they can spend a weekend with, and they will go have lunch with, and they can sit in silence with and be fine with it. And that's very much, you know, that's like a big percentage of the game is like being likable and
cool.
Being cool. So.
I've got a buddy who he's actually also been on this show, and he's open for a really famous I'll tell you after. And I asked him one time, I was like, how did that happen? And he was like, oh, I just don't bother him. He was like, we go on the road. He's like, we drive there, we get to the hotel, I don't see him until showtime, and then we hang out after, and then we leave the next day.
He's like, that's probably what he wants.
Right.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't ask him, you want to go to this museum or what? He's like, I'm just there. I do my job, and then that's good. That's good. Yeah.
I'm trying to find the perfect way to approach that. I just opened for, I should probably even say this.
Oh yeah,
and I loved the guy. He's so cool. We had like great conversations.
Yeah,
but I'm still just like, hey, like if you need an opener, I can. I always ask, but you just feel weird afterwards. But he was great. I hope maybe
I've heard
someday
he's
I'll
awesome.
get to open for him again. But
I've got a buddy from Nashville that's opened for him a few times, and I've heard he's a really nice guy. I do think that's a certain level too, right? Like he's at a point where it's like he's very
pretty
popular
big now. Yeah, he's selling.
And he's getting a lot of traction, but he's not like one of the top 10 greatest all time. Like that's a little more unapproachable, maybe. He's still a guy.
He's in a weird spot. Yeah, he is still a guy. I think with people like that, I've seen people on the come up like that before, worked with him. I don't think he quite even knows yet how to be
perfect
because he's doing because he's doing a theater tour. He's doing clubs and going to theaters, but like he's still pretty like. I think he popped only a few years ago, kind of. So for him, he's still kind of getting used to it, which is a fun thing to see, to like kind of experience.
That's nice too. The ego's not there yet. Maybe is like a good way to...
And I mean, I don't know if it ever will be, but he's still like you can see it in his like his head spinning. He's like, I just sold out another weekend. I'm about to do theaters. He's like, I kind of am killing it, but he's still probably in that like scratch and crawling mindset that comics are because he's around for so long.
I hope he's in it forever. Like there's nothing worse than the opposite of a guy who's like doing C rooms and is like too cool to talk to the opener.
It's like, what are you going to become if you get money?
A nightmare. That guy at the arena level, what a tyrant. That's going to be awful. But it does happen. That's another thing that we've talked about a few times on this show is like there's every, it's a spectrum for sure. But there's every different form of like guys who crush on stage but are assholes in the green room. There's guys who are wonderful in the green room but aren't that funny on stage. The ones that I love the most, and is so rare, is both.
Oh yeah.
That's a hard one. That's there's a dude, Dale Jones. Dale Jones at all?
I've never met him, but I know who he is. Yeah.
In the South, he's like, if you ask in a green room, who's like the motherfucker, he comes up a lot because he's like a 30-year road comic who hasn't like popped on a national level or whatever. Like he's very successful on social media right now and stuff, but it's a long troubled tale. I'll tell you off camera maybe. But he I opened for him at the Catch three shows, and like you can crush as hard as that. I don't know that you can crush hard. You know what I mean? Like at a certain point, the crowd is gasping for air for 90 minutes. Can you even do better than that? I don't know. But then off stage, the nicest, kindest guy. Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Both is super cool when you find it.
Well, I think you get comics have all sorts of different personalities, but one thing I've definitely seen is the ones that are better than what their level is or how well they're selling and stuff. There's so many comics you meet are just jaded because they've been doing it for 30 years and they've watched all their friends like do stadiums and stuff, and he'll never. And they're bitter, so I'll say it. Yeah, a lot of them are bitter. Even if they're nice guys, they're bitter. Yeah. But I opened for Pete Holmes, which was like one of the coolest things I've gotten to do.
Yeah, he's
probably
awesome.
The coolest. But I was talking to him about comedy, and he was talking about Nate Bargatze like doing stadiums and stuff, and it's like Pete Holmes has a career that almost anybody in comedy would like kill to have. Right. But he was still kind of talking about, he's like, well, Nate's doing stadiums over here, and I'm barely, and that's how it is though. You comics, they always are looking for the next thing, or thinking about what they're not doing. I guess
there's probably some level of like mental illness or depression there too for most of us.
Ill, for sure.
Yeah, I think that plays a huge. It's also like some of that is not necessarily a bad thing. Like the fact that he wants to be doing arenas still after
you got to have something to propel you.
Yeah, I think where it gets tricky for me is like much lower down that totem pole. Like that's Nate. Like he can do whatever though. He's opening a theme park or whatever. Let him do whatever he wants.
Crazy.
But when there's like people I started with or maybe even started after me and I see them getting these wild opportunities, that's where I really struggle to not be like, why does she get to do that or whatever. I don't think I usually am that way, but internally there's definitely moments where you're scrolling through Instagram
I'm very
and
people, I mean, comedy's not fair.
No,
that's for sure. No, life's not fair, but comedy's definitely not fair. No, so I mean, whoever you are, phrase it, but whoever you are, you're going to have a different journey than other people, and it's very much just how it is for just kind of like normal looking white guys now. It's not necessarily our time in comedy. You can still do very well.
There's so many of us.
Yeah, but we all competitive with each other because there's a number of spots for us and so that's just kind of the nature.
I blame
of the game,
Shane, dude. It's Shane's fault.
You can see the roasts like that with him and Tony just doing just wild jokes and shit, and it's just like
that was an interesting one. I've really enjoyed seeing all the blowback from it because I think ultimately that's a good thing for anytime, like, you know what I mean,
it's getting headlines,
right? Like, no publicity's bad to some degree. I mean, I think those guys probably don't enjoy it, but from my perspective, I'm like, at least they did it and it got however many billion views on Netflix.
Yeah, I mean, it's only going to help their brand, but I think it's very much Netflix is the problem. I think when Comedy Central did it, I feel like they had like a certain amount of jokes they wanted everybody to do, or a certain amount of time. Shane did so long, and then he did
45
time between everybody. He was doing like 4 jokes between. It's just too much. It's too much. You're just...
It's a 4-hour roast.
It's a 4-hour roast. Yeah. If he did 12 jokes and one of them was really bad, he probably wouldn't have heard anything. But everybody did so much, and it's just too much, you know?
I'm also seeing kind of both sides. Like, I see a lot of people that are like, they went too far, and then I've seen a lot of people come into the defense and being like, it's a roast. You know, like, is there such a thing? I at least appreciate that he like acknowledged, he was like, I'm so glad to be here hosting this show to celebrate Black excellence. Like, the fact that he's consciously aware of the irony makes me kind of go, okay, then I'm fine with it. Like,
I like that joke.
Yeah, that was fine. I don't necessarily, he posted a picture of his writers too, and I saw a lot of people were blowing up about that because it was like, whatever, you know, McKeever and like 8 other white dudes that looked just like Shane. And everybody was like, why would they employ all these 8 white writers, and then the product is you get 40 racist jokes about slavery.
Kind of a bad look.
It's not good. It's not good.
That's that's something they got to learn from. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's very much. I mean, I think the shows should be balanced. Everybody should be getting opportunities. And when you have 8 white guys, that's why everybody hates white guys.
Cascade Draft House. I'm proud to tell you that Cascade Draft House is a proud first sponsor of the Mind Over Mike podcast. I'm very excited to team up with them, and they are a special business. If you love good beer, I know I do, you got to get down to Cascade Draft House. It's on State Street in Bristol, Tennessee, and they've got an amazing selection of 40 rotating taps, so there's always something new to try. They've got ciders, they've got seltzers, they've got IPAs, lagers, you name it. Tons of cool stuff, and it's not just about the drinks at Cascade. It really, truly is an awesome vibe in there. They've got open mic nights. There's fun for everybody. It's a great spot. Go and check out them, and thank Cascade Draft House for supporting the Mind Over Mike podcast. Now back to the episode.
One thing that we've talked about a lot on the show before in the past too is like the history of stand-up, because I'm kind of a nerd like when it comes to that stuff. I like Shane, you know, I consume a lot of different podcasts and stuff. I just saw Louis at the Ryman last year. I still see current acts, but what I'm way more interested in is like comedy in the 60s, comedy in the 70s, stuff like that. And it almost does no good to try and like compare, you know. I see that a lot too, where people are like, you could have never done this back in the what. Yeah, but that it's now, like, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't. It's not really the same. Yeah, it's very much like I saw they were trying to cancel like John Wayne a couple years ago for like stuff he said in the 70s. Yeah. And it's just like, it was the 70s.
Have you seen him in the Genghis Khan movie?
No. Is it pretty bad? I mean, I'm sure their stuff looks really bad.
I'm going to pull this up because this is one of my favorite things. I'm a big, my grandparents kind of helped raise me. And so I spent a lot of time with it. And we watched a lot of John Wayne stuff. Dude, John Wayne played Genghis Khan.
Oh, geez.
In a movie. And probably the late 60s, I'm thinking. The Conqueror. Okay, 56. Please, God, look at this.
They got the mustache. That is really bad.
That's rough. Yeah, some stuff you're like, okay, I kind of see their point a little bit.
Yeah, no, it was bad. I mean,
didn't age.
But he's dead. He's like so dead.
Yeah,
so it's not even really a point in talking about it, you know.
He's big time.
But
dead.
You just can't really say much if you weren't around then. Which, I mean, yeah, this is obnoxious. Obviously,
this is why. Honestly, the fact that even in 1956,
it looks
that was just like, what? He's Genghis Khan. What's the problem? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah,
that's so, because there's so many, you know, Mongolian or at least Chinese guys that would have done that. Like at least close to accurate.
Something.
He's from like Arizona or something.
Yeah, dude. That's obnoxious. But,
that's one of my favorite things.
It's his last samurai, I guess. Tom Cruise or whatever.
See, now that's what's interesting. Nobody cares about that because
I've
he's
heard
like
people mention it, but it's
doesn't he play an American who's in Japan?
I think
right?
so. Yeah,
that's
so
the
they
difference.
kind of made it sort of work, but
yeah,
but
very sneaky.
I think people should be allowed to learn from mistakes. Obviously, like. That's not good. There's a lot of bad things that happened back then. But
we can all agree that looks weird.
Oh, dude, that looks crazy.
Looks problematic.
Weird. Yeah, it's
the fact that they were just like, "Hey, grow a mustache, and then we'll shave the middle of it, and then you're Genghis Khan."
That's it, basically.
That's literally.
They put a hat on him, and he's pretty much it.
Also, I've only seen clips. I didn't grow up on the movie, but it's still John Wayne talk. You know what I mean? Like he's not. Thankfully, he's not doing the accent.
Which
is probably worse.
Obnoxious.
Yeah, but it's just like we're gonna conquer Pilgrim. It's like it's not.
He wasn't method. Let's just say he's very much just himself.
It's not working.
Movie, but,
it's not working. Yeah. Well, I do. One thing I see now too. Kind of, I guess some level of this is like gay actors taking straight roles, straight actors taking gay roles. That's a big one in recent years. I think ultimately I always just go, why does anybody give a fuck? Like, was the movie good? Because that movie's terrible. You know what I mean? And that's probably part of the reason it's terrible. But ultimately, if that movie was great, I don't think anybody would have a problem with it as much.
Yeah.
It's like I
don't know. Yeah, most stuff's not worth getting upset about.
No.
For sure. And I think the people that get upset too much make the other people that don't get upset at all more angry and want to lash out more and do more say more crazy stuff. So it's everybody in the middle that's just getting annoyed by the people, the
which is probably
sides.
Most people, right?
I think so.
Well, at one time was maybe not as much anymore.
I think even people like there's this thing where like you have family that's like uber conservative and and I have that as well, and I think people are allowed to have I don't want to say crazy, but allowed to have polarizing thoughts in their head.
Sure.
Just when you go out in public, don't be crazy, you know, or don't do anything. But now people are getting crazy out in public and stuff. So
when you're blowing up the train in your front yard, you're like,
yeah.
At some point,
people
you should think
key in
about
Teslas and stuff. It's like you shouldn't be doing that. You know what I mean? But just be crazy at home. Like tell that's what your significant other is there for. Tell them.
Yeah, that's great advice. Honestly, just be crazy at home. I do. So also, I want to dive into you a little bit because how long have you been doing stand up?
Like 5 now.
Okay, so when you started, how different do you think? Not just like we've kind of up to this point talked about just like the culture of stand up and on a national level, but locally for you, like the first time you go up compared to now. I mean. Is it super different? Is there more opportunity or less? Like, what kind of changes have evolved? Because you're Indiana, right? We should say that too. So, over the last 5 years, what kind of a difference do you think has come out of that?
I think I started in 2021, so it's still kind of the post-COVID. I guess this is the beginning of it, like the post-COVID sort of boom. At least that's what like other comics I've talked to have said that. And so when I started, I felt like there was more mics, there was more going on, and there was a lot of comics very eager, interested to be doing it. Yeah. And I feel like since then, more recently, there's less mics and less like clubs are closing and stuff. Yeah. I think so. It doesn't mean that there's still not a lot going on and comedy's not popular, but I think from when I started till now, it has died down a little bit. And I think maybe wherever the up was of comedy, we're kind of on the down now. Sure. So I guess that would be what I would say.
I wonder if that's like a national thing too, because I think that actually aligns very well with like locally too. Like Blue Ridge, the club here, opened in 21. It was kind of the first attempt at like what we consider like a third generation of stand up here in this area. So there was like, in the, I guess probably early 90s, there was kind of a wave when it was real popular, the Seinfelds and Roseannes and stuff. And there was some guys doing it and then it died off. And then through the 2000s, there was like some brewery shows and there's a couple guys still around that were doing it back then. And then pandemic killed that. And so now this is kind of the third wave with Blue Ridge. And I think we're very much, going down the hill on that too. It's also like 2021, I started in 22. So even by then, it's already probably not quite as popping as it was when you started. But it's like everybody's moving to Austin. Kill Tony's going from like this underground thing from the Belly Room to like arenas or whatever. Like everybody thinks they can get in the bucket and do a minute. We used to have the old Blue Ridge before they moved locations was behind the most popular restaurant in town, and so there's a lot of foot traffic, and it would always be like drunk dudes who just walked by and saw an open mic sign, stumble in. That doesn't really happen anymore.
Yeah.
The club also moved and is nowhere near downtown. There's no foot traffic, so that's probably a majority of the reason. But I think that it's just it's so different so quick. It makes me question, like in another 5 years.
Yeah, what
who
it'll
knows?
be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think the Kill Tony thing, I think it's fine that they do that. I think the show is basically made for them to make fun of comics, which I don't think people realize as much. Like they want you to do bad so they can make fun of you.
It's way more fun when they do that.
And the people that get popular off that show, most of them are sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
Most of them are people that are more unique, they speak through a voice box or,
Sure.
or they're, they're kind of the Casey Rockets or these sorts of peoples. So I think that show, a lot of like edgelordy guys have started doing comedy because of that. So I think that's done a little bit of damage, and it's kind of on the down now, I think, as well. So I don't know, man. I mean, I think comedy is good when the people in the scene are doing shows and they're building the scene up. So it's a lot of work to run an open mic or do a show, and it takes people to take that kind of initiative and do it. And my scene is kind of like that. There's just not a lot of stuff to do, and you need the comics to kind of build it up. And
yeah, it's a weird one around here where it's like when I founded Don't Tell, whatever, 2.5 years ago now, there was not a ton of comics, and we really didn't know about the crowd, because it was like it was post-COVID. Could we get them? And then now we're at a point where like tonight we're sold out. Knock on wood, we have a show tonight.
Awesome.
We have 10 on the wait list, so we're definitely sold out. I don't have enough comics.
Yeah,
it's flipped.
That's
almost,
a weird situation.
It's like locally, it's kind of just like 4 of us that like I'll put on the show. All the others are maybe bitter that they're not on the show, but also aren't doing exactly what you're saying, like running a mic, running your own show. So it's like there's not really a scene, but there's a market, which is kind of the opposite problem that I had 2.5 years ago. So I've had to almost pivot and figure out how do we do this now, which the answer is guys like yourself and others that are like, I know you're coming through. Let me line it up. Let me, buy a futon and put in this room so that I have like a place for you to crack. And then people like Holly that are willing to travel for, let's just be honest, not a ton of money or exposure with Don't Tell, but that love it enough and are good enough to do it. That's been challenging, but also like so cool to see people who still believe in the thing that we're all doing. Because like ultimately if every comic in the country woke up tomorrow and was like, I'm just going to half-ass it, comedy's done for.
Well, yeah, I think, and the sort of the work that you're putting into this is very noble. And I would say for any new comic, or I'm still pretty new, but any newer comic, run an open mic for a while or run a show. Yeah. And then you'll really have an appreciation for how it works and how much work goes into it. Yeah. And then it'll make you a better comic too.
Much better.
By doing that. And I think that there's heroes out there in comedy that are doing. Some people do like 4 shows, and I'm like, what's in it for you, man? Why are you killing yourself and trying to do comedy? But those people were, they're the ones keeping it going. So
Mike's especially too. Anybody who runs an open mic, kudos to you, man. I'm not doing it. Dude. I got a couple friends.
A mic in Bloomington, and it is some weeks it's just very depressing. We've had times where we'll get 2-3 comics sign up, and then we'll have times where it's like 15 to 20. Yeah. But you just keep doing it. That's kind of what you have to do. And it's very admirable to do an open mic for sure.
Yes, it is. Yeah, and also it's like we need that so bad. Like traveling comics, and I don't know how much you get like guys blowing through that on a weeknight stop at your mic or whatever, but like the fact that exists is. I've said it before on the show. I think sometimes I'm able to get to a point with stand-up where it's almost like a sentient thing a little bit, where I'm like, the more you feed it, it will kind of reward you on some level. And I think a lot of comics are not feeding shit. And you can get away with that for a while. Ultimately you can kind of reap the benefit without putting in the work for a while. But I like to think at least that like karma somewhat exists, and those guys will tap out eventually.
Well, I think we don't know where we're going to end up in this, but very much if you try hard, like you know, I put this kind of run together as like 4 shows, and then I'm going to meet people, and then hopefully build relationships off of that, and then progress my career in that. But
was Jeff there in Chattanooga? Jeff Greenspan?
No.
Okay.
I think he's in New York now.
Oh, he is. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if he had moved yet or not.
I don't know,
back
but I don't think he's doing.
What about Ledbetter, Andrew?
He's there.
He's there. Okay.
Yeah, gotcha. I like that guy. That was the first time I met him, but he's a very cool guy.
He's wonderful.
But
he used to live there, and he actually just like maybe a month ago moved to Atlanta. I don't know if it's what it is. So it used to be like a place that comics could crash in Chattanooga and do the show and stuff, and he was always really welcoming. But then like his wife got pregnant and they had the baby, and that kind of changed things. And then he decided and I don't think he would mind me saying, like, he was getting a lot more time and respect and attention in Atlanta than he was in Chat. It's a much bigger market, so he's like, I guess we have to move. And he had the job opportunity or whatever, so they went. But I think that having someone like that in Chattanooga has been such a huge asset. I'm curious to see now with him being, you know, he was back obviously for your show. It's not that far, but
but it is a big loss.
He's gone.
To lose somebody like that.
Technically, he's gone.
And I think some scenes can kind of die from that. We've had my scene is basically, it's like a college town, so everybody pretty much moves at some point, and they're supposed to. Like the guy that I run my show with, he's probably going to move to LA, and he should give it a shot. You can always come back, you know, if you want to, but you know, you're supposed to move to Atlanta or whatnot. And, you know, I have a baby, and we're going to stay put. But I think any young comic, it's like, go do a scene where you can get up every night, twice a night, and there's a lot of opportunities. That's how you get good, and you know, getting reps, man.
Or just test. Like that's kind of been Raleigh these last few months for me, because it's like, you know, I'm used to driving 90 minutes for a 4-minute open mic. So if I apply that same amount of hustle to a scene where there's 3 mics a night, I can't help but think I have kind of an advantage over these guys who are honestly spoiled by the fact that they live in a place where there's 3 mics a night, so they didn't ever go out. It's like
you're hungry.
A little more. And it's a good test, too, of kind of what we were talking about earlier, of like, how does this set do outside of the same 3 rooms I always do it in? That's super interesting. Do you find, is there like a particular part of the country where you've done shows that you're like, I could move there? Besides where you're at, obviously.
It's very tricky because I feel like the longer you're somewhere, and you're going to learn more about it. And everything's very like awesome when you're there.
It loses its luster a little bit. Yeah.
But scenes that I liked, I like kind of Denver area.
I've heard.
I feel like it's hard to get on shows there if you don't know people. But I did the Boulder Comedy Festival, and those crowds were great. I really liked Boulder.
That's awesome.
So maybe like there, but I don't know.
I feel like Colorado in general is one that a lot of comics talk
There's a lot of comedy.
About.
It's kind of like, I would say like New York, LA, Nashville's still kind of coming up, I feel like, but Denver is kind of a big one, and Atlanta seems like it's a pretty big one now too, and Austin. Those are kind of, there's little hubs all throughout the country, and you got to visit those and kind of see how you do there.
Nashville's an interesting one too, because I mean they have Zanies, which is arguably the best club in the South. You know, like there's the Cellar, there's the Store, there's whatever, Comedy on State, there's all these in the conversation, but I think that Zanies is one that anybody in the South will probably put pretty high on that list. And it's a fantastic club. I've been fortunate to do a couple things there over the years, just like mics and stuff, and meet some of the people. Nashville's a weird one though, because it is so big. The city itself, you know, like outside of comedy, it's growing so fast, but also the scene is like Nate kind of is there, so there's a lot of those guys who think they're on track for that Nateland route. Theo's there now, so there's a lot of guys who their only mission is to crush in front of Theo, so they open for him or whatever. Like that happens. Atlanta, I think, is a little different, where there's not a ton of like heavy. I mean, T.I. lives there and he does stand up now, but aside from that, there's not like a ton of like famous high level comics that are at mics,
like sticking around at least,
right? So that's a little different. I think. My friend Drew was on the show a while ago, and we were talking about like some of the best sets we've ever seen of comics, and he was like, I will say this, and he was like, people are not going to like that I said this, and he's like, but I think the best set you've ever seen in a packed club, there's 4 black comics doing that in Atlanta on a Tuesday.
Oh yeah,
like Atlanta is a crazy deep catalog of killers. Raleigh though, I don't know how much you've done over there. Like my experience with that has been interesting because there's Raleigh, Durham, Greensboro, Charlotte. It's all kind of within a couple hours. There's so much. There's so much. And there's Good Nights there, which is a fantastic club. And then there's, you know, all these brewery shows and independent shows. Unlike Nashville, where it's kind of just Zanies. They kind of dominate
a lot versus like somewhere like that where it's like if you have the hustle, you're willing to drive.
Yeah,
there's a shit ton of stuff to do.
Well, I'd say to your point. I think from somebody mentioned this to me at one point. Nashville is always going to be a music town, and that's very much where I think the struggle is going to be. And Zanies is great, and they have. I just did it recently, and they have like the podcast studio for Nateland, and they're letting them do whatever they want because they want
They have the lab now too.
They have the lab now, which is what I did.
Yeah,
and
it's awesome.
But a scene like a Raleigh that has all those other little scenes around it, like the Winston Salems and the Greensboros, and that would be like honestly probably where I would want to go as a comic because
that's where I'm thinking. Right
you
now.
Can get and I don't blame you.
Yeah.
You can get up so much. You can get up enough to work on your jokes and get better. There's not as much competition, so you're going to get on shows. If you get to be really good, then you can do a lot there. Yeah. And I like that sort of thing. You can get it in the club, meet headliners. Exactly. But New York, LA, Chicago, I like aspects of them, but it is very cutthroat. I've talked to people that have moved in multiple of these cities, and the first year it seems like they want to kill themselves. They're just so depressed.
Or the first 10 maybe.
Yeah, maybe. But everybody says it takes at least a year to kind of get your handle on things, and then it gets better. But it's like, man, a year can really do a lot to somebody.
When you're out every night for a year, I mean, that's a long time. Plus, it doesn't hurt that like Raleigh is it's definitely bigger than here, but it's not huge, and it's geographically somewhat close to here. So like I've interacted with a lot of those comics. I have some connections going in. There's a really one of my favorite headliners I've ever worked with moved to Austin a while back from Atlanta, and I got to have a cool conversation with him before he moved about these different options. And he was like, for a while I was thinking New York, and some of his friends went there, and he's like, I feel like I don't have enough connection there coming in. He's like, unless you can go there with 20 solid connections when the day you land, it's starting over for him. And he actually in that same conversation was like, I don't know about Austin. Like, I'm not convinced. He's like, if I knew that I could get enough time at the mothership, I would go. And now, like, probably 2 weeks later after that, I heard he moved. And now every time I open Instagram and go to the mothership, it's him. So I'm like, good. He got what he needed. That makes sense. But to start over somewhere like a Raleigh is far less of a hump, I think, to get over.
I think a lot of people that have made it in comedy, they try different cities. So like, I mean, I'm trying to think of like Jordan Jensen or whatever. I can't remember where she started, but she was in Nashville for a while and then went to New York. A lot of people, they like Derek Stroop. Went to Denver and then went to New York. Like you don't have to stay anywhere. Right? What?
He's Nashville now too.
I think he's moving to Nashville. Okay. But you don't have to live anywhere for that long. So you could go do a year in Nashville, make connections, get better, go to Denver. That's probably the best way to do it.
I think so.
To answer your question earlier, I think what I would do if I was a young comic is sorry.
No, you're good.
I would develop some time, and then I would go travel around to all the different scenes and see where you feel comfortable. And if you say you go to like a Sacramento or a Raleigh or there's some like in the Great Plains over there, like there's some comedy out there like Omaha or something. Maybe you love Omaha.
Yeah.
You stay there for a year or whatever.
Oklahoma has some stuff too, I think.
It's like there's no rules to this. You can go on Facebook and find the group and try to get on some shows and do a run.
That's my favorite.
And then you'll find somewhere that you like, and then you can go live there.
If you're willing to do the trench rooms too. Like that's the other thing is like I do so many shows here, with like 4 people in the audience where it's like I'm not scared to do a show with 10 in the like I don't care.
Oh yeah.
I don't
Those
care.
make you good. I've done some helium upstairs shows with like 4 people. Sure. At a Bark show with like 6 people. 2 of them were children. Like those are the shows that make you good more so than the sold out ones. I would love
to know. I want you to omit anything that's going to get yourself in trouble, like club names or headliner names. What would you say is maybe your worst experience in your time doing stand up? And I probably should have sent you this early because I'm sure there's a ton of them.
Like working with a headliner or just any show?
Like what's something that comes to mind where you're like, what a fucking nightmare. Like whether it's the show, the headliner, the club, the crowd, your set, even like a truck drove through the wall while you're on stage. Like what's your craziest, is there something that jumps out at you? I have a few
stuff. I'd like to hear yours too.
Yeah.
I have probably 2. Okay. I've done a lot of. I used to do these gig salad shows. You know what gig salad is?
I do. Yeah.
So you perform
like marketing
anywhere.
thing. Right.
Yeah. So I did a show in French Lick, Indiana. It was for a like town council, at a bar, and it was just like 10 of them or something.
Yeah.
And a magician went out before me and performed to like not much hoopla, but like he really was going for it and just really. And then his last trick, he throws all of his cards on the stage. And then he gets off and doesn't pick up his cards.
Oh, wonderful.
So I had to go up and like, hey guys, I got a weird wiener, and like on a bunch of playing cards and just bomb for 20 straight
Slide
minutes.
around on the deck.
Dude, it was awful.
20? You did 20 on the show?
20, yeah. And I didn't have 20 at the time, so
Right.
it lasted forever.
Yeah.
And then the other one I did at like a fair board, like a county fair board, and maybe like Brownstown, Indiana or something like that. And it was like 150 farmers and their wives and children and just 15 minutes of just pure silence. And they were just, it was almost like shocking they were hearing me
Confused.
say this stuff.
Yeah.
And afterwards, I booked the show too. And like nobody would talk to me or look at me. Like they gave us free food and I was just eating in the corner, just like eating mashed potatoes. And I always tell people, it just feels like when those shows where you bomb really bad, it feels like you walk around and you feel like you smell like shit.
Yes.
And people, they'll look at you, but they don't want to get close to you or talk to you. It's just like
it's not an inviting look.
It's the worst feeling in the world.
It's like having leprosy, essentially.
Yeah.
You're
kinda,
a leper.
Yeah, they just then you feel like you smell like shit.
So brutal.
But yeah, so those are. But I've had a bunch of stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
those gigs though, I can't. Maybe this is again wishful thinking. I like to think that does make you a lot better though. Like you take something away from.
I get a lot better with the bad ones more than the good ones.
Yeah.
The last one I'll say. I want to hear yours.
No, please. We could do this for 3 hours.
I always tell this to comics because it's a funny story. But I was in Seattle for work and I was doing some shows and I got to do a mic at this club, like club comedy or something. It was fine. Did great. I was like, and I'd been on a hot streak. I'd like maybe 2 weeks of just
that's
awesome
when you're like,
shows.
I'm asking for
and
it.
I know, dude.
Yeah.
And I called my wife and I was like, man, I think I'm at a point like, I don't know if I can bomb anymore.
Always.
Yeah.
The famous last words.
And I'm like, not to say I'm never going to do awesome, but like, I don't think I can do bad. And then the next night, I went to like an open mic at what I think is like Emerald Comedy Club now. I don't remember what it was before. And just 5 minutes of just pure silence, just like you could hear the chair creak, and then just like walked home. Or I got on like a Lime scooter and like basically cried back to my hotel afterwards. And I was like, all right, I haven't figured this out yet. That was a good. It comes right when you need it, I think, the humbling ones.
I was going to say, that's moments where I go, this thing's definitely alive, comedy, because it knew I was getting a little too good for it, and it just punished me for it.
Everything evens out, but what's one of yours?
I was trying to think, even like after I ask you, you'd think after me always asking people that, I would know off the top. There's I'll try to be as diplomatic as possible. I mean, I'm editing this, so I can cut around. There's a semi-local producer that is notorious for just having the worst turnouts, the worst gigs, the worst like probably the top 3 worst shows I've ever done have all been for the same guy at different markets, at different places. He's one of these guys. You never know, know. And then no, that's not true. There's never been a good one. I was gonna lie and say, but some of them are good. No, it's always bad, and I don't work with them anymore because of this. But we did one time that was, dude. Like when I say in the middle of nowhere, like we passed the middle of nowhere a while ago. Like 2 hours ago, and we're still going. And I remember we get to the venue, and it's like I don't know what it used to be, but it's a concrete rectangle of a building, like no windows, it's concrete,
no personality,
nothing, and the outside is spray painted with like bright colors, and there's like I think there's like a mural of a silhouette of Mario and Luigi playing cornhole, like spray painted on the outside. Dude, it made no sense. And I was opening for a friend of mine at the time. She asked me to go and open for her, and I was like, sure, it's whatever, no money.
What is
but it's
the
fun.
venue? Is it a bar?
Great question. So I don't even know.
Don't know.
To this day, I don't know. But we walk in, and it's pretty big. It's like kind of almost a concrete warehouse. Oh, also I should say, when we pulled in the parking lot next door, there was an internet cafe.
Okay.
This is 3 years ago. I was like, did we travel to 2006? Like, where the fuck are we? An internet cafe somewhere in Southwest Virginia. And anyway, so we walk in. The whole left side of this huge building is probably 20 pool tables. everybody's over there, and they are breaking ball. I mean, it's just crack, like, and they don't stop for the show. The stage is massive and has honestly, a crazy amount of like lights and smoke machines and shit. Like, it looked like something from like the 80s. I mean, it was definitely, it was old school. There's probably 4 people on that half of the room.
Were they there to watch it?
They were there in spite of it, honestly.
Okay,
like, just because they're at the bar, they're drinking, and the sound was so bad that they could not hear us. And when we first walked in, my friend that I was opening the show for is a female comic. It was very fun. And as soon as we walked in, this guy was like, she walked to the bar and he goes, "Here, have mine." And it's literally like a half-drank beer. And she was like, "No, I'm good. I'm sober. I don't drink." And he goes, "No, I want you to drink it." And she immediately was like, "Help!" Like, came to us.
Yeah.
The DJ who's running the soundboard was in a leather romper. This is a man, probably a 400-pound white dude, long hair and a beard, redneck guy. A leather shorts and top onesie romper that was the American flag, and boots.
He probably used to be like a roadie for Judas Priest or
Pretty
something.
sick. Pretty sick. That was the coolest part.
Yeah.
I bombed so fucking hard. And then it got to the point where I just started like shitting on the show. It was one of those where it's like, I don't care. I'm never coming back here. This place sucks. And that kind of actually started to do okay because they were all aware of how awful
Bill Burr,
it was.
Philadelphia.
Basically, just a full meltdown. But it was crushing with like my 2 friends that were there, that were also on the show. Because also they know they're next. So they see it
That's
too.
the best. You get to watch somebody die right before you.
That was really bad. And then same producer, different show. I drove, I think like maybe 3 hours one time with some buddies. On the drive up there, he texted us in a group chat and was like, "Very excited to work with you guys for the first time." We worked with him many times, all of us. And he was like, "This is just a heads up. This is sort of an audition show to see if I like you guys. And if you do, then I'll put you on some paid gigs in the future." And we were like, no. We were told we were going to be paid for this. So literally we pulled over on the side of the interstate. We're texting this guy like, "This is bullshit. We're not coming up there. We will just cancel." And he was like, no, like I can still pay you, whatever. So we show up. There's 2 people, giant brewery room, 2 people at the bar. He announces we're about to start in 5 minutes, whatever. They try to leave. He catches them at the door, gets between them and the door, and is like, "Please stay, blah, blah, blah," and sits down. And then my friend had to do 30 minutes.
Oh, dude, that's crazy.
And I did 15. That one was rough, but it's like, it's all the same guy. And I think that so often with stand-up, like when people ask about it, they're like, "It must be so great." These stories are the ones that you don't hear.
Those are the ones, though, that they can be... Those shows, the worst ones can become some of your most fun shows, and also the worst.
Because it's like, who cares?
Well, I used to do these gig salad things, so it was basically
that's so crazy to me that you did that.
Dude,
you did that of your own accord? You were just like, "I'm going to get more spots this way." Like,
yeah. And it's I don't live in a spot where there's a ton to do, so anything you can do to get better. But we would do that's where I got that like fair board. The one where I bombed, but some of them were great. I did like a guy's living room for his birthday.
Really?
Like I was in my socks in his living room, like his carpet, and his like family's there, and it was actually fun. And then
How
we
many
just
people?
had 12 or something,
Yeesh.
like their kids running around, and I was like, I had a joke maybe like shitting on West Virginia, and he was like, "I'm from West Virginia," like sitting in his chair in front of me. And but yeah, we had fun. Then we like ate with them afterwards, and the wife sent me a card in the mail that said like, "You made Jim's birthday so special," and it's like still in the fridge. But then the best one we had with some of my buddies, 4 of us went down to Washington, Indiana, and we did a show at this guy's like house. It was for his birthday, and we get there and he walks outside and he's like wasted, and he just starts handing us $100 bills. Perfect. And he's just like, "Thanks for coming, guys," and just starts handing us money. We're like, "All right, this is good." Perfect. And then we go down to his little party basement, and we're like playing pinball down there, just like hanging out. Yeah. And then he had a room that had like beer taps, like 8 beer taps. Whoa. And everybody was just trashed, and we just went up. You basically just did crowd work, but I did a shot every time a joke didn't work, and so I just got annihilated. And but yeah, we all had a blast. Everybody was just giving us money, and then so we probably all walked away with like, I don't know, $300 or something. Wow. And just had the time of our lives. But like, it was a guy's house, so you got to say yes to every opportunity.
On the drive there, is there like a safety concern in your mind a little bit where you're like, we're going in this guy's basement? Like, he could just lock the door and kill us. You know, like definitely there's no female comic that has a story.
I was
like
gonna
this.
say that's the benefit of being like a bunch of dudes.
Yeah.
You know, we're just like
Having
fearlessly
a group
ignorant.
helps. Yeah, sure.
But I don't know. I mean, they're
Fearlessly ignorant might be the title of this episode.
Yeah,
by the way.
right.
It's wonderful.
Well, I mean, they pay you up front, so there is like at least you made $50 deposit if they're gonna kill you. But
Sure.
yeah, I don't know. It never really went bad, I guess. But I guess
awesome.
you're right. That is kind of dumb that we do that. But
Well, it's just like anything to get better, which I also really respect. As funny as this conversation is, it's like even with Delta, like when I launched it, I hosted the first like 6 months every show, and I'm hosting tonight. Like I still host it all the time.
It's tough to host
I hate
all the time, yeah.
especially because they know I'm the only comic that's been on every Don't Tell Tri-City show for 2.5 years. So it's like tonight, it's like 40% returners.
Okay.
They're tired of my shit. They're gonna love you. They've never seen you.
we'll see.
Well, our crowds are good. But that does force me to like try either new combinations of 5 minutes, write new stuff every 2 weeks. Like that keeps me a lot more active, I think, than some other producers. Just because, like I know some people who produce shows in like a real touristy town, even Nashville. Like they have a Don't Tell there.
Nashville's very touristy.
Every Don't Tell is sold out. They don't have to try.
Mm-hmm.
They don't put, it's kind of the same venues a lot. Like you don't have to put the same amount of effort into the production that I do. Cause I'm kind of building a scene on top of the show. And a lot of our people too, like it's not their first Don't Tell, it's their first live comedy show.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like training them how to even be in the room for that was hard early on. That's not as much anymore. But I think that shit does build you up a lot.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's nothing that I admire you for doing that. I'll say like writing new or like trying new things in a host set is difficult, but it's gonna make you better.
Well, I don't want to bomb in front of y'all too.
Well, yeah, I mean, but that's the thing. It's like you can't. It's hard to really do great in a host set anyway.
Yeah.
So like I've done comedy enough to know that like a person is funnier than what their host set is going to be because you're starting cold.
I sure hope Holly knows that tonight when she watches me.
That's the thing, that's what's why it's good. It's cool that you do that because like if it was me, I'd probably put myself third every once in a while or something just so you get a little bit more
when I can. Tonight, I just honestly I owe too many favors on this lineup. Like she's bringing 2 features. I already had you and 2 others, so it's like it's too long. There's just not room for me. I'm not doing a 3-hour show. And I try to cap it at like 70 minutes because I know like they just get tired.
70 minutes is a good amount of time. I'd say like 75. I feel like is like the perfect amount of time for a show. And then if you will gain a minute or a couple minutes in there. And then
Absolutely.
80 minutes is like you don't need more than that.
That's the goal. Is like, well, I just don't. I hate when it's like it's such a long lineup that Holly gets up there. She drove all this way. She's headlining, and they're exhausted before she even starts talking. That's not fair to her. I'm not going to do... And honestly, there's at least 1, maybe even 2 more features on this one tonight than I would normally have. That's just how this one worked out. But I do like to keep it tight. And it's better for y'all, because then I can be like, listen, you're doing 10 or 12 or whatever, but if you're having a good time, run 13, run 4. I don't care.
That's nice, yeah.
Whereas on certain shows, and tonight's not my biggest one, but on some of them, I'm like, you better keep it tight.
Yeah.
You better be out of there when the time.
If you're not doing well, get off.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
right.
If I'm doing well, I'll go over a minute or something and I never hear about it. Because nobody's going to get mad at you for that. But like, if you're not doing well, get off the stage.
God,
people
I wish
do
there was
that.
more of you in the world.
Yeah, right. Most of the time, I'm not as much now because I'm starting to get more material. But it used to be like I would get to 9, I'd be like, all right, let's wrap this up while it's going well, and get off. But
a tight 9 is so much better than a loose 11 or whatever. Just do the 9.
Yeah, just get off well. Then you do the one extra joke and it kind of ruins your set. I've done that so many times. But,
Do you let's just say gun to your head, how much time are you doing that you're like it's decent? It's not the first time I've said this stuff, but it's also maybe not my A material. Like, what kind of time?
I think I can do 30 pretty good.
Sure.
And I'm very if I'm doing well, I'm kind of riffing a little bit and like I have kind of built-in riff things in my jokes.
Right. Well, hot crowd can make or break that number too.
And everything, a really bad crowd, time speeds up.
Right.
Then
30's
probably 30's 18.
Sure.
And if it's going well, I could do 40. So I like to be very modest about it.
Yeah.
I think it took me a while to get here. I would, but I think I can do. Ideally,
have you done 30? Like, have you been booked for 30 a few times?
I've done 35 a couple times.
Yeah.
I've probably done 30 like 10 times. And
Yeah.
but now I think I actually have enough stuff where I'm like, this is all pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And I have maybe 15 of it's like really good or
Right.
above average. And then the other stuff I'm doing well, I'll make work.
It's filler.
You know,
Right.
as it goes. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's, I don't know, man. But maybe in 5 years I'll be like, shit, I thought I had 30. I had like 12.
Yeah.
And, you know, now I have 30.
I feel like 30 is modest. I know so many guys that are a year in. That you're like, how much time do you have? And they're like, I got 3 hours.
Yeah. They're like, I could headline if
You have no idea what you're talking about. And I'm guilty of it too. I remember one dude, I've said so much stupid shit. That's the other thing is like, we're all way too, or most of us are like way too eager or way too whatever.
There's
naive.
an ego aspect of this for sure.
I was certainly not. I remember being like maybe 2 years in and telling Sean, the owner of Blue Ridge, like, yeah, I think I want to do like a locals only like special where we all do 20 minutes. And he was like, are you an idiot or what? And I was.
Yeah.
I just didn't know. Now I'm like, yeah, 20 is like, that's kind of a stretch for me. I just closed out a show in Wilmington a couple weeks ago. Did like 28, and that's like it was a good 28. I cut off when I was like, the more I do, the more I stretch.
It's
gonna
good
get
to
worse.
test yourself.
That's
to
good
see
with
where
me.
you are.
Yeah.
And you know.
Yeah.
But it is terrifying. I mean, I haven't had one yet where I've had to do a long amount of time, and it was like a really bad show.
Yeah.
But every time I have 30 or something I have to do, I'm like, man, I hope this isn't a shitty one, because I don't want to do a 4-person show and have to do 30 minutes. You know, it's just horrifying.
That one was.
It'll come, and then it'll make you better. But
I will say he's also my friend Travis that did the 30 for the 2 people. He's also an anomaly. Like, he's just fantastic. So honestly, it wasn't that bad. Like for he would probably tell you it was awful, but for me, I'm like, he did a damn sight better than I could.
Some people were just naturally good at this.
So likable too, because when there's 2 of you, it's like, you know, we were talking about theaters downstairs before we clicked record too. Like, it's almost the opposite of a theater where it's like, I can see you. There's just 3 of us in this room. We got to know each other. It's more of a conversation at that point. Yeah. It's not an act.
I like some of those small shows. I do upstairs at Helium sometimes, and Helium Indie, and I've done it before where there's like 25 on the Friday show, and Saturday show is like 6.
Yeah. And
I'll do better on the 6th show because I'm just I make it fun for them, or like I'm just like, oh, this is a fun challenge. We'll make it conversational.
Yeah.
And whereas the 25, I'm a little bit more performing to just chairs kind of.
Do you put that pressure on yourself too? I know I do. Like in those situations where there's 6 people there, I'm so much more loose. Like when I watch the tape back, I'm like, oh, because there's no stakes involved.
Yeah.
A sold out, 250, I'm so rigid because I'm in my head about whatever, at least at the start, maybe not through the whole set, and I'm getting better at it. But I think the if I could be as loose as I am when there's 6 people in the room all the time,
there's something about like being present and stand up that I think a lot of people have to figure out. And
maybe just life in general.
But I think acknowledging the situation without being negative about it, and having fun and trying to kind of pivot and just being present with this is what it is, you know, and then you can make those go well.
Because they know what it is too.
Yeah, they know what it is.
They know
they're probably worse than you. You're going to be staring 6 people in the eyes. Yeah. We did a show. I did a show in St. Louis. There was 2 people in the crowd, and it was a couple, and like 5 comics just did comedy to these 2 people, and they were on they'd been dating for like a month.
Oh my god!
So it was also that. So people.
I wonder how that relationship.
You got a small dick, bro, and then he's just like, oh, this is already awkward. I'm like barely know her. Date. Yeah. But yeah, it would end up being fun. They were great audience members, and they were like. They paid attention and they were very nice. I felt bad for them, but we made it work and we made.
I was gonna say, how many of those like rooms of 6 though are you like they were a good 6 versus like a bad 40? Sometimes a room of 6 can be more fun for you than 40 if it's a bad crowd or whatever.
When it's like 6, it's supposed to be bad, so you're just kind of. Happy if it goes well. Yeah. When it's 40 and it goes bad, it was supposed to go well. Right. So why couldn't I get these people to laugh? So I think that's what it is. It's all like mental.
Yeah. And they're thinking the same.
They're thinking the same thing. They're like, why do these guys all suck?
Yeah. Yeah. That's another thing you mentioned earlier, just briefly, like about LA, that like there are shitty comics in LA. I think starting out, another thing that I certainly experienced, and I think a lot of young comics do, is like this idea that geography changes that for some reason, where it's like, no, man, like it's a ratio thing. Like there's just more comics.
We glorify
more
those
shitty
scenes,
comics.
but there's a lot of bad comics too, you know?
Yeah. Raleigh's been that way for me too, where it's like there's so many more comics that when I do these shows, and honestly, I haven't seen any that are just like absolutely awful. Everybody's been really kind and done pretty well on the shows I've been on, but I think that they exist, I'm sure, you know, because I don't do the mics over there. So I'm sure they exist. But it's like that idea that you'll just like move and then you'll never have to sit through a bad set of someone else's ever.
Oh yeah, there's just bad comics everywhere. A lot of comics that there's headliners that are bad. You know, like you're just gonna. That's the thing that makes you do it for a number of years to still love comedy after that. After how many bad sets you've watched, and I know so many like girlfriends of comics or boyfriends. And they come to shows for the first year and they're all psyched about it. And then they're just like, I can't do it anymore.
It's literally me.
You know?
It's literally me. My girl's coming in tonight for our show. I think we mentioned downstairs. She just wants to like produce, you know, she wants to help produce the show. She has not been to a show outside of our Don't Tell in, I don't know, years. You know, she actually, where she's living in Raleigh, she's like asked to come to some of those. And then I sat panel on a triangle roast battle over there. And she was like, well, I'll come to that because you're not like doing your dumb jokes.
What is a triangle roast battle?
Well, the triangle is what they call like Raleigh, Durham, and Chapel Hill. It's like the area.
Okay. I thought it was a 3-person, like a threesome.
No, I wish. No, well, there was 3 of us on the panel, ironically, but it's comics from all over that area and this kind of leaderboard thing. And dude, it was so much fun. I couldn't believe like the expectation I had going in for like a local roast was pretty low. And from the first round, I was like, this is great because they're all in on it. And then now since like following that, they have a dedicated Instagram page and stuff. I've seen that like there's pretty much like 12 comics. And every week they're up against a different
each other.
Right. So they're all in on it and everybody knows each other. It was so much fun.
Roasts can be really fun.
Yeah.
I like being a judge more than I like doing the roast.
Me too.
I've had great roasts, but I've also had some where I do, you know, the audience is what the audience is. So sometimes they may just not like your stuff, even if you felt like it was good.
Yeah.
So you're at the mercy of the audience and it's a lot of work. Like you got to write a lot of jokes if you want to win those things. Yeah. So, you know, I think it's worth doing. Everybody should do them, but judging a roast is the best because you can just shit on them and they can't, you know, they don't even get to say anything.
Especially if you have a good panel too. Like my other 2 panels were so funny and 2 female comics from Raleigh. So I just kind of let them, because I was like, I even told the crowd before because they introduced us or whatever, and I was like, just for the record, I don't fucking know any of these people. So like, I don't know how mean I can be to them. So I kind of just let them take the lead and the rest of the panel, and they were crushing. And so then I would just slide in little shots here and there. And
you don't have to say anything unless you have something funny to say.
It's an easy job. Yeah. Also, that tends to be, as someone in the crowd or in the roast, I've seen somebody who keeps grabbing for that mic too much.
Yes.
That's rough.
Yeah, I won't. I've seen that.
That's rough. Yeah, you can say names.
No. I would. I run my mouth too much, so I try not to do it on podcasts.
Me and you both. So. Well, I do all the editing, so when this episode comes out and it's 10 minutes long, they'll know why.
Yeah, right.
They'll know
I'm shitting on Pete Holmes and everybody just going after people.
I don't feel like that's even shit. Like that's just something he said to you. And
I don't think that was bad.
Also, he's not going to listen. But I think that some level of disclosure is important to me because there's a couple comics that listen to the show that are from the scene that are newer. And, you know, maybe they're 2 months in or whatever. They're still in Sean's 101 class. And they're like, a lot of the reason they listen might be that there's other local comics on this show that they respect and want to learn from. I think these conversations are important. And then, honestly, maybe even more than that is the people who listen that aren't stand-ups. Because the truth is, like, no matter what you do, there's a lot of shitty coworkers at your job. People, like all the things that always come up on the show, like ego, drive, motivation, bad nights, good nights, like we're talking, it's just life, man. It's like everybody can relate.
Well, it's also to like really be a fan of something, you should understand how it works. And like learning the terminology, learning how people do this. A lot of people still think that comedy, stand-up comedy is people just going on stage and making it up every time they do it. A lot of people think that. And like there's a lot of artistry to this, and there's a lot to it. So like learning how it works, even if you're not doing it, is a cool thing.
It is cool. I also, speaking of bad advice, I had a comic one time when I was very new who was headlining the club here in Bristol. And afterwards I was like, hey man, like, you know, I'm brand new. Any advice? And he was like, don't ever write stuff. And I was like, what? And he was like, just go up there and talk. And I was like, what? And like, even maybe 6 months in, I already knew what bad advice that was.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen a lot from him since. But he definitely was like, yeah, man, he's like, I don't ever repeat the same thing. I just go up there and talk.
One of the things which that is crazy.
It's crazy.
And that he's telling people that.
He's not doing it.
Yeah. But one of the best things, which, a lot of people don't like this guy, but I saw an Aaron Rodgers quote. I don't think he's the one that probably originally said this, but
sure.
But I did like it. I think about it all the time in comedy. It's if I wouldn't come to ask advice from you, or if I wouldn't like go to you, because I respect you to ask your advice about life or anything.
Yeah.
Why would I listen to what you say about me? You know what I mean? So like, if there's somebody that says something shitty about you in comedy and you're like, well, that guy's a fucking idiot, but it's still going to hurt. But it's like, you don't need to take any stock in it because they're not a person you would even ask for anything for.
Yeah.
So, but if a person you like says something, then,
listen.
Yeah, then you might listen. So,
yeah, that's good advice too. And it's also like, kind of like we were talking about earlier, guys who don't do anything. Being like, and it happens all the time with Don't Tell or with this show. Like, you know what you need to do? You know what you need to do? And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? What are you talking about? Like, the fact that you are even able to say that to me is hilarious. Like, whatever it is. Here's what you need to be doing with Don't Tell, or here's a better way to do whatever. And it's not that there's maybe not even some merit to what you're saying, but like, you do it. Like, But it's a lot easier to just project on other people than to do it yourself, I guess.
I mean, there's a lot of people that suck that are going around telling people what to do.
There are.
Somebody, I'm not going to say any name, but I'm not even going to say the city. But yeah, there's a guy, he bought all of his Instagram followers and like isn't good. Right. And he's like going around trying to teach people, and it's so just like, it's
so gross. I'm also so trepidatious anytime I see anybody teaching like a comedy class or something. I don't know. Maybe that's just a me thing, but like to my knowledge, I think I'm the only comic who started locally since Blue Ridge opened that didn't come through the stand-up 101 class. I believe so. In the 5 years they've been open. I just don't like the idea of it. I just don't. It's like in high school I took like art classes, and I remember being like, how the fuck can you grade this? Like, I just drew what I can draw, and you're like, nah, it's a C-. Like, what does that even mean?
It's something that is so like subjective. Or,
and if I'm like half-assing it, sure, if I'm drawing stick figures, right, fail me. But I remember there was a kid in high school that was a freshman. I took it like senior year because I had nothing to do, so I took like art 1 as a senior or something.
It's cool if you take art, man. You don't have to qualify.
Dude, no, I loved it. I
know you're in Tennessee, but you can take an art class. Dude.
I took an art stuff. No, I took it at later than most. So it was all freshmen, and I remember this kid sat right across from me, and he worked like every day on this drawing. Like it was like a 2-week long thing, and he'd work on it, and he'd take it home, and he'd work on it, and all this stuff. And I remember we turned him in, and our teacher was a dickhead, and he put a F on it and was like, you failed. And I remember him passing it back out. I remember that kid being like, why did I fail? This is like the best I can do. And the teacher literally was like, you didn't draw that. There's no way you drew that. I've seen your other stuff. You suck. There's no way.
And he drew it?
And this kid started like crying, like a 14-year-old boy started crying. Because in front of the whole class, he was like, you suck. There's no, and I even said, I was like, actually, I saw him work on it, like incrementally. I'm positive that he did that. And the teacher still was like, failure, you're lying. Your mom drew that or whatever. And I mean, obviously, I don't know. Maybe she did. Maybe took it home and shit. But I watched him at least work on it.
Yeah.
Like he had.
You gotta know for sure if you're gonna call somebody out for like plagiarism.
To me, that's kind of what Stand Up 101 is, where it's like, you suck, and maybe even more than that, it's this idea that I have the answer.
Yeah,
I disagree.
And I think you got to be a little bit arrogant to teach a class like that. I'm not saying that there aren't people that can do it.
Sure.
And, I think that most of us could kind of give you the bullet point. I think it should be something, if you're doing it, that's like an hour where you're like, this is how you get to open mics. Right. This is how, like, basic informational. Right. But, I don't know. I don't think it's... I wouldn't do it.
No. So you didn't do a class?
No. I probably started off a little...
What made you go up the first time?
It was a very long journey. I did... When I was in middle school, I took a creative drama class, and I was a very like shy kid, and we did like improv. Yeah. And I would like get laughs, like big laughs. And
so
I was
you knew
like,
that feeling.
Yeah, and I was kind of like, well, am I like a performer maybe? You know? And then I didn't do anything with it after that. And
sure.
I gave some like speeches in high school and stuff where I would get laughs, and I just felt like something like kind of clicked on in my head when I would get on in front of people. And then, but I was always very nervous, like self-conscious about doing it, like performing, and I didn't even know what I would do, like plays or anything. But when I was in college, I worked at a grocery store over a summer, and I like on LimeWire or whatever, I downloaded like 5 or 6 comedy albums and just listened to them over and over all summer, probably like 20 times, like Greg Giraldo, John Mulaney, Dov Davidoff, there's a couple others, and I just listened to them over and over, and I just kind of learned how I just like listened to jokes a bunch, and then I started writing stuff down, and then about 10 years later, I wrote jokes on my phone, and then I started. I'm like, oh, these are actually starting to get kind of decent, and then I went to like a place that had an open mic, and my wife and I just went later and like checked it out, and I just signed up.
How scary was that first time?
I did well, and it was nerve-wracking, but I think I was ready for it. Like, I think.
And you've been to other mics before?
Not really. I didn't know anything about the stand-up world. I was just went up on a mic, and like I think a comic said this one time. I don't remember who said it, but like you go up your first time, and then you're yourself, and then the next couple years you're trying to get back to where you were the first time you did stand up. And that's very much, I did well, I felt good, and then I met some comics afterwards that were like, hey, there's other mics around, this is how it works. And then I rode to a mic with another comic and asked him questions the next day at like an hour away. And then I did like 2 more mics that week, and I never kind of stopped. So just kind of got obsessed with it. But I don't know. I think it's just something you think about for a long time. You're like, some people have told me to try it, and you find the right opportunity, and you know.
I always think about that too, because I also wrote a couple jokes, maybe like not quite like 10 years. I think maybe like 6 months before I ever went up. But I went to a comedy competition at the club. And they were great. Everybody was really great. And it kind of discouraged me in a way where I was like, well, I can never do that. But then I do remember being at that first open mic, and I was like, 10th on the list or something. And after the first few go up, your confidence slowly builds.
You're like, oh, he's going to suck.
Like, I'm not going to be that bad. Am I? And then, I mean, I didn't do great, but I did fine. There's one joke, I've said this before, but there's one joke from that first set that I still have in my
I do. Well, I have just one that I still do too.
And it was in my phone for 6 months even before, so it's like there's something to, I think there's a reason we both did it or whatever, if you believe in that stuff. But I do think that I had such a background with it. It was such like a core part of my growing up that it makes sense. Like, I just loved it so much. But in your case, was when you get to college and you listen to those albums, is that like your first experience with stand-up?
Mostly. I listen to like Blue Collar Comedy Tour.
Sure.
And, like, this is I'm probably older than you. How old are you?
26.
Yeah, I'm way older than you.
You're not way older?
I'm 10 years older.
That's not way. Yeah.
That's decently older. But I listened to what was popular then, like Blue Collar, Dane Cook, all the basic stuff you start with, the Matt Rife of the early 2000s.
Sure. That's a good, I never thought about that. That's actually really good. It is very much,
Dane Cook built the douchey stage that Matt Rife stands on now.
Sure.
But yeah, you start somewhere, and then I think I saw like Pauly Shore live, or maybe it went to like 2 or 3 shows, but didn't know too much about it.
Yeah.
But I'd watched like a million Comedy Central things, and
it
used to be very accessible on TV and stuff. So I'd seen so many people, and but
dude, I think about that now with like younger comics starting now. It's almost too accessible. Like, there's so much of it. How do you even find what you like? How do you even? I guess algorithms push you like your influences and stuff. But I think that's why you see a lot of guys that are like Shane clones right now, because he's the most he's standing out amongst 1,000 other comics.
People, I think I talk to a lot of people. I'm like, who's your favorite comic? And like normal people, and they don't know their names, but they see their clips all the time.
Right.
And that's very much how it is, I think. So I think you get an algorithm where it hits you with 2 or 3 people, and maybe you start to learn who they are and go see them or whatever. But it's hard. I mean, only a few people are, really building. I don't want to say a few, but it's hard to get on people's algorithms for sure. You got to be kind of unique.
There's so many. Well, it's interesting that like some of those are very like not limited. That's maybe belittling them a little, but like perform a lot better online. Like, it doesn't always translate to sales. Like, I think, and sometimes it does. Like Dale Jones, the one I mentioned earlier, he is huge online right now with views and stuff, and he is so good at it that he's wound up on my grandma's Facebook algorithm on Reels or something.
Wow.
But she doesn't understand how algorithms work, so she thinks everybody watches him all day. And so he's Richard Pryor to her. She's like, he must be the most famous fucking guy because he's every time I open my phone, there's Dale. So when I opened for him, I got to take her and she got to meet him.
Cool,
and it's like, it's such a weird world that like she was like nervous, like a giddy little schoolgirl meeting him, but just from the screen that she holds in her hand. You know, like she'd never seen him before. She didn't buy his album. No idea.
It's very weird. It used to be, I mean, like, you know, like a show like Friends or something, or like 30 million people would watch it every week. So everybody knew what that was.
Yeah.
And now you can get on Spotify or watch a stand-up special.
Yeah.
And you and 2 million people know about it. And this person may be huge to you and nobody else does. It's so weird. We all live in these little like narrow kind of hallways
Bubbles.
of stuff. So.
It happens so often too, and the viewer thing is super interesting. I grew up on like a lot of older shows, and I know that MASH is one that was like big in my house. When that finale premiered, it was like half the TVs in America or something crazy were tuned in, or maybe more than that.
There
honestly.
is something
like,
cool about that.
Seinfeld was another. You know, it was in Times Square. The
Game
finale.
of Thrones was kind of like that. That was one of the last ones. I feel like it doesn't happen as much anymore.
It's hard, man. There's just so much now. There's so much.
So spread out.
Yeah, it's weird. We're doing it though. I mean, we're trying.
Yeah,
whatever.
just one foot.
As long as
the
you're
other,
happy with where you're at, and well, you're at least complacent in where you're at.
We just keep doing it.
You're still moving forward, right?
It's like I saw a Seth Rogen interview. I just keep quoting people, but he said like the only way to make it is to not give up.
Yeah,
and that's very much my stance.
I think I've
comedy.
seen that.
Like I'll just keep doing it, I guess. And
I think I've seen that one. It's also you rely on that stuff, and some of the like I don't know that Seth is necessarily like a big influence for me, but that alone is like. He started at like 15 or something.
Yeah.
Or 13.
He's just like a kid from
right.
Canada, you know.
And he got pretty freaking successful. Not necessarily from stand-up, but like it clearly, that's similar to your point earlier, like a local guy telling me something I'm not going to listen to. But if Seth Rogen says it, I'm like, well, there must be something weight to what he's saying.
I'm going to listen to it.
He did something, right. Even if you don't like him, he did something. You're watching it on the screen.
Yeah, if you're like a new person, read books, listen to podcasts. One of the best things, if there's any actual new comics listening, this is what I tell everybody that's new to listen to. And a few people have done it and they like thank me because it was great for me. But Dusty Slay, maybe you know this. But
yeah, I know Dusty.
He had a podcast. He has a podcast now, but he did a series for a while. It was like How to Be a Comedian. And he basically starts out, he's like, these are the things that I wish I would have known when I was started. So he just basically writes a list. And the first episode will be like how to start going to open mics. Yeah. And he'll write us down everything he can think of. And you just get all these tips. And then the next one's like how to book your own show. And there's like 15 of them. And I'm, maybe I'm on the 7th episode now of where I'm at in my career, but how to start working at a club. And it's great.
I'm almost scared to watch it because I'll be like, damn, I'm not doing any of this, right?
No, you definitely are. I mean, it's basic stuff you would think you would, and you'll listen to it and be like, oh yeah. Or if you're an asshole, maybe.
But if you're brand new, you have no idea.
You have no idea.
Yeah.
And I probably listened to the first 4 episodes. Right off the rip and like learned so much from it.
Wow.
It was better than any stand-up class. And it's a guy who is a great joke writer. He's a hard worker.
Yeah.
He created like an image that sells and he's one of the best guys you could look at. He's done a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, you got to go search for it. It's kind of it's kind of hidden now, but yeah, it's great.
I did not know about that. That's a great. Honestly, I might check it out myself just to see what episode I'm on. I do think reading is a big one too, which some people struggle with reading. But like Born Standing Up, I read right before Steve Martin's book. It's unbelievable.
I have that audiobook.
I just re-listened to it on audio, driving back and forth to Raleigh in like a day, because it was like let me listen to it now that I'm doing stand-up. And it gave me such a different look on it. But a guy like that who just like was so good that he quit. It's like that's a unique one.
It wasn't even fun anymore.
He was like I would walk out and they would laugh and I was like I'm done with this. That's crazy. And then this is one too we were talking about Running the Light. I read that before doing stand up and since. it's a fictional version, obviously, but I think it's a super interesting look at the world of it. And there's so many.
Sam Talent is such a like grinder. Those are the people you want to learn from because
You ever
they
done a
were
show?
in the mud for so long, done every dirty, slimy room, and then now he's getting popular.
Yeah.
And Dusty the same, like just worked at it for so long.
Yeah.
And would do anything. And those people were just Teflon, man.
That's who I respect the most. Have you worked with Sam at all? Sam Talent?
No, he came to Bloomington one time, but I was had another show, but my buddy performed with him and said he was great.
It's magic. Like that's another thing that me and my friend Drew talked about on the show a few weeks ago. Is like in comedy, I feel like there's two different kinds of like killers out there. There's like guys who are doing a magic trick where I go, that's a trick. I don't know how he's doing it. And then there's actual fucking magic.
Yeah.
And Drew was like, there's a lot of people who don't believe in the second one, but Sam's magic. It is a trick, but it's so seamless, and he's so fucking good at it.
Well,
I can't spot the cracks.
Reppy, like he just has so many reps. It's like his blood is comedy. Like Dave Attell's like that. He can he's so quick.
Yeah,
and just like quick. Those guys are great. Oh man, I'm blanking.
Do you have like a guy? Is there like one for you that's like your North Star? Maybe even before starting, like what's your biggest?
That's tough. I mean, I like Norm a lot, but I don't, not even necessarily stand up, but just kind of what he represents. I used to watch his show on YouTube all the time and read the jokes at the end.
Him and Egot.
That was one of my most formative things. Yeah. But those albums, I said, Greg Giraldo, John Mulaney.
Mulaney is a good example too, because I think he's one that maybe doesn't get brought up enough from like, especially non-comics, but like the originality in like an unassuming way, if that makes sense. You know, like he's so Mulaney, and there's a lot of Mulaney spinoffs and clones now too, but he's not I don't think he's like on a lot of people's Mount Rushmore maybe necessarily, but I think that's maybe my strongest influences are actually guys that like, it's not, I would sit here and go, oh, it's my favorite comics or whatever, Pryor, Eddie, but that's not in my persona. You know what I mean? Mulaney's like, I can see how that could make its way into your act.
It's probably a newer one too for people, but like, you know, I grew up watching like Chris Rock and you know, all those HBO specials and stuff, but Mulaney, I think people want to watch somebody that kind of that looks like them. Sure. You know what I mean? Or they feel like they've lived a similar experience. Yeah. Like, I'm a skinny, dorky white guy. Right. So John Mulaney's like, of course, I'm like, how's this guy doing this?
He's so funny.
And he's so good. But you go back and listen to the album I listened to is called The Top Part, I believe. And he never released it as a video special. It's only an album. But the bits on there, he tells a couple stories, and there's bits like he's just great he's a great writer. Yeah, he is. And he's great at getting a ton out of a bit. There's just so many jokes in there, and it's very clean. And his first special is a lot like that too. But he's just a really good writer. And the SNL, I think, just like, you know, you have to write quick, and you get good at digging stuff out. And
writers are generally who I'm more attracted to anyways. Like, you know, I think I've worked with a lot of high energy even Dale, I would honestly, he's a fantastic writer, but that energy, man, he's literally like a cartoon character. You know, it's all gas, no breaks the whole time he's on stage, and it's cool to watch. I just don't relate to it, like you're saying. Like that's just not my energy, so I don't necessarily learn as much from it. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, there's things you can pick up, but you're not going to be that. You can't try to copy people too much. Like, you're going to borrow things, but if somebody's like, you're a Southern guy, and you know you're watching like a black comic from you know, Southern California or something, you're not going to be that. You know, you're probably not going to, but you can still admire how good they are.
You can smell
things
it too.
They do.
Like the crowd can smell it when they're like faking it. Not the black guy from California.
All right.
Welcome to Tennessee. No, I mean, like the crowd can sniff it out if you're being inauthentic in any way. You know, even if I'm like, if I'm trying to Southern it up a little bit, because I'm not naturally. I mean, I think when I leave the area, I'm immediately reminded how Southern I really am. But comparatively, you know, I know like my friend Pruitt goes on stage in overalls and he's like, how are we doing? Like, I'm not that. But if I try to slip into that too much or play into that, they smell it on me. Like, it's not sincere.
I think you could probably make it work if you if you really went after it, but you're probably not a douche, so you don't. No. But I've opened for people. I'm not going to say names, but they're in the green room. They're in the green room, and they're like, "Hey, dude, hey, how's it going?" And then they get upstage like, "Hey, dude, how's it going?" You know, like they just really, like, I'm down at the creek, you know, that shit. So I mean, people really do turn it on. Yeah. And it does work for some people, but
you can do
I wouldn't want to do that. You know, I don't want to be. You know.
I always wonder, is it hard for them to go up there and, like, at the end of the night, even if, let's say you crush for an hour and you go back to the hotel and you're laying in bed and you're going, my whole existence is a lie.
Sleep?
Right. Like,
you'd have to ask them, bullshit. Like, on a lie detector. Probably.
They're probably just like, I made money,
not
I don't care.
Say it.
Yeah.
Which, you know, there's something admirable about that. You figured out a personal algorithm that works for a crowd, you know, that, you know, so I don't know.
Yeah. It's also so easy to, like, pick apart everyone else. You know, it's like I spend a lot more time in my head looking at my own shit. I don't really care what anybody else is doing.
Yeah. I mean, it's good to look, but you don't want to compare too much.
Man, that's a rough road to go down. Eric, we're gonna wrap it up here. Is there what's coming up? So this will be out in 3 weeks. Yeah. What's coming up for like June, July? Anything big? Any festivals coming up or anything that you can plug this far out?
I've got a bunch of shows this month, but I don't really have a lot coming up after that. I am doing not that I have fans, but
treat it. They'll all be listening.
I'm recording like a little 10-minute special at Commonwealth Comedy Club in Dayton, Kentucky, like outside of Cincy.
Okay.
And they're a great club, kind of a mom and pop club.
I've seen,
really awesome.
I think John Bass works there a lot. I've seen pictures for sure.
Yeah, I think he's there. But yeah, they got a lot of really funny comics, so they're letting me do like a 10-minute set. It's kind of the first recording I'm doing. I've been held off on doing anything like that for a long time because I want to finish my jokes and stuff. But they offered it, and I was like, all right. So
is it like a compilation of like other comics doing 10 minutes, or is it like
it's a show,
series?
Yeah. So they're kind of building up their YouTube, and then you do like 10 minutes, and like maybe 6 other people do or something, and then they release them every week, and then they give you a little money if it does anything. But,
that's awesome.
But yeah, so that'll be July 9th, I think.
Okay.
So,
this will be out for sure. Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I'm excited I'll see it too. I'll definitely check it out, and I think it's just cool that you're like doing it, you know, like the fact, and we were talking a little before that, like you do have a job also, and you have like a life, and you mentioned you have a baby, which we didn't even get into, but like the fact that you have other things going on and you're doing it, I always respect so much more because I relate to it again. But like, I know a lot of guys who are like maybe 2 years in, they go full-time comic, and you're like, like that feels a little premature, doesn't it? Versus you and me, I think, where it's like, and maybe we're not at the point where financially we could go full-time comic, but we're invested enough to where like mentally we kind of want to. I'm assuming you do. Yeah. But still having to balance all those other things is way more commendable, I think.
Yeah. I mean, you do what you can. I'm pretty cheap, so I like to work and get the money, but I admire what it's fun to travel because I haven't been out past Nashville too much down here, but meeting you and like Andrew and and I think, is it Chris, the other guy that books Don't Tell Chattanooga? Is it Chris?
There's a Jeff Greenspan is one. I don't know.
The other. It's the new guy, but they're both.
I didn't know they had a new.
They're both very nice, and you're very nice, and it's cool to just talk to people that like are interested in comedy and like nice people. Yeah. And so yeah, it's fun to travel.
There's not a ton of us.
Yeah, I mean, when you meet them, you're like, oh shit, like that's awesome. But
it's also, I think I'll reach out and see like if you're hooking up another round. There's a lot of that really kind people in the Carolinas. I will say, we kind of mentioned it earlier, but like me having Don't Tell, unfortunately, it's hard for me to even tell anymore. Like, are you actually a nice guy, or do you just want to do it? You know, like, I don't know. But I know a couple for sure that are tested, vetted, wonderful guys, and they'll plug you in over there. And there's a ton of shit. Yeah. And you're good enough too to where like I'm not scared.
I always tell people to come through. It's like, I can't guarantee I'll get you on anything, but like I can give you the names of the people that do it, and if you send a nice email or you know, or sometimes, I mean, there are shows I could get you on too, but I'm just going to start doing, do you do encore shows down here? Have you seen that?
So where I've been in Raleigh, I saw they had an Eventbrite for it. Yeah. And I was in town that night with no show. So I just cold DM them. They have now given me like 6 spots. Yeah. They're the coolest.
It's kind of coming out, and I'm going to do the Indiana version. I'm going to be running those.
Oh, cool.
by myself for a while.
They're fun shows.
Yeah. And the guy Jack that does them, he's really good at like filling rooms. So so yeah. If anybody comes to Indiana and they don't suck, I mean, I'll put you on one of those.
That's the other thing. Is like if you're in town, I'm like, everybody listen up. I've got a guy, like somebody who's at least like decent at the thing, because it's all. Part of this is like if I tell everybody I know, all the bookers I know, your name, that's also a reflection of me.
Yeah.
That goes into.
You
it.
want somebody that'll represent you well, and I try to remember that when if anybody puts me up, because it's so nice when people do that. You're like, you gotta be good. Don't be a dick.
A little bit. Yeah. You gotta be good. Yeah. Eric, thanks for doing this, man. What about socials, website, any link tree, anything that you can plug where to find you? And I'll put it in the description as well.
I got a link tree, but mostly TikTok's probably where I post the most.
Okay.
I would like to post on Instagram more at some point, but I would say those are the two. But TikTok's probably the thing to follow me on. Eric Hook Comedy.
There you go. Eric Hook Comedy. Thanks, buddy. Thanks for listening, guys. Bye.